State Senator Roy Herron.
Good evening. Are you happy to be here tonight? Are you happy to be Democrats? Do you believe in what Ned McWhorter stood for and fought for? Ladies and gentlemen, one of Ned McWhorter's favorite stories may have even been a true story. It was a story about when he was just become governor, and part of his 95 county jobs program was building roads all over this state, connecting all the parts of this state together so that rural folks and city folks could work together and grow jobs together and prosper. Well, the problem was you had to fund that program. He was trying to get up some votes. There was a freshman legislator, he needed his vote. He was a Democrat. He called him into his office. The legislator said he couldn't help him. He went about looking for more votes. He called him into his office again. He said he still couldn't help him. He went looking for more votes. He came back and he met with that young man the third time and he said, "Son, you see this?" And he reached down in his desk drawer and he pulled up a toy road grader. He said, "Son, you see what this is?" He said, "Yes, sir." "What is it?" He said, "It's a road grader." He said, "That's right. You take a good look at it, because if you don't vote for this bill and help me build these roads, it's the last one you'll see in your district while I'm governor." Ned McWhorter said he knew how to hold hands when that was what was needed and how to twist arms when that was needed. And he did what it took to create a 95 county jobs program. One of the people who helped him was a young man who started out as the youngest state legislator in the state, perhaps the youngest in the country, became chairman of the Finance, Ways and Means Committee, went to work for Phil Bredesen as his Commissioner of Economic Community Development, and led the way as Tennessee, over the last 8 years, grew more jobs, brought more billion-dollar investments, and made more progress than any of our neighboring states around us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Commissioner Matt Kisber.
Good evening. What a great night, and I'm proud to be here as a former legislator, a former member of Governor Bredesen's administration, but most importantly, a lifelong Democrat. It's an honor to reflect on the legacy of Governor Ned McWhorter. For me personally, there is the public side of Governor McWhorter and his many accomplishments, and then there's the personal side that played such an important role influencing and shaping many young people, including myself. As we all know, Governor McWhorter's role in state government spanned over 4 decades, and his accomplishments, both as Speaker of the House and Governor, are the foundation for the modern Tennessee economy in which we live. I first came to know Speaker McWhorter when I was a student at Vanderbilt University. During my years at Vanderbilt, I worked for the Jackson Sun newspaper, and during the legislative session was assigned to their Capitol Hill bureau. It was during this period that I observed firsthand how Speaker McWhorter championed ideas that would advance opportunities for Tennesseans, and watching him helped to inspire me to run for the State House after graduating in 1982. One of the first lessons Speaker McWhorter taught me was in my very first campaign. He headlined a Get Out the Vote rally just before Election Day. I so badly wanted him to jump all over my opponent, who was seeking his 3rd term in the House. Just as though he was standing right here next to me, I can hear him say, "Matthew, I won't tear Ken Baker down. I'm coming to Jackson to tell your community why you will be a good state representative and what you will do for Jackson as a state legislator. After you win your election, you will want everyone in this community to come together and support your efforts, and you do that by campaigning on what you stand for." That exchange taught me an important lesson that guided me throughout my political career. I won that election in 1982, being the only Democrat to defeat an incumbent Republican that year. As the youngest member of the 93rd General Assembly, Speaker McWhorter's mentoring taught me many important lessons and provided me extraordinary opportunities. I well remember one of my conversations with Speaker McWhorter during that first term, in which I told him how impressed I was with his ability to bring people of different views together and to develop consensus. I told him I really would like to know more about how he accomplishes that. And much to my surprise, he made me an incredible offer. He said I could come into his office at any time, sit in the back corner, and observe how he worked this magic, with one caveat, that I did not talk publicly about what I observed being discussed in these meetings. And I can tell you, during my first 2 terms in the House while he was Speaker, I took advantage of this remarkable opportunity, and what I learned aided me in my life as a legislator and later as commissioner more than anything else I can remember. Throughout my 28 years in state service, I regularly called upon Governor McWhorter for his advice and counsel. Sometimes it was over a 6 a.m. breakfast in the Legislative Plaza cafeteria, sometimes over lunch or dinner, or oftentimes just visiting with him in his office. And during my tenure as Commissioner of Economic and Community Development under Governor Bredesen, I gained even a greater appreciation for the foundation for growth and development that was built during Governor McWhorter's tenure. In his first legislative session as governor in 1987, one of the most important investment or incentive programs Tennessee has in its economic development arsenal was created. As part of his 1986 campaign promise to create a 95-county jobs plan, TIPS, or the Tennessee Industrial Infrastructure Program, was born. This gave the governor and the commissioner of ECD broad authority to negotiate incentive programs with prospective companies and commit the necessary investments in upgrading that host community's roads, utilities, and other types of infrastructure. Since that beginning, infrastructure development has been a key component of Tennessee's recruitment formula and has seen, in my estimation, over $1 billion invested in new infrastructure for new and expanding industries, creating jobs across this state. Throughout his 8 years in office, there was significant economic development activity occurring in all corners of the state. Governor McWhorter was attending project announcements and groundbreakings in almost every community. He personally led many of these projects that landed in Tennessee. He made numerous recruiting trips across this country and around the world and had great success in bringing investment from all corners of the globe. I can tell you it was not uncommon when I traveled for Governor Bredesen around the world and met with existing industry leaders from other countries that they asked how Governor McWhorter was doing. And likewise, when I visited with Governor McWhorter, he would share with me his most recent communications with many of the leaders of companies from all over the globe that he worked with during his 8 years. One of the more interesting and colorful events I remember is the celebration in Spring Hill with the opening of the Saturn plant. Governor McWhorter was the star attraction when he drove the very first Saturn off the assembly line. I can say without concern for being contradicted that a person the size and stature of Governor McWhorter was not Saturn's target customer. I believe we can trace the success Tennessee celebrated in 2008 recruiting Volkswagen to the efforts by Governor McWhorter in 1993 to attract Mercedes-Benz to Tennessee. I recall Governor McWhorter telling me of his conversations with former German Chancellor Helmut Kohl, who said to him after Tennessee had lost that recruitment effort to Alabama, "While you did not win the assembly plant, you will probably get more jobs through the suppliers that will come to your state to supply Mercedes-Benz than you would get from the assembly plant itself." And if you fast forward 15 years to the VW recruitment effort and look at the intricate web of automotive suppliers in our state, you have an understanding of how that foundation laid its roots, or the foundation for recruiting Volkswagen had its roots in the Mercedes effort. I could spend the whole evening regaling the impact and success of Governor McWhorter's 95-county job plan. He was committed to ensuring every county was connected to the interstate highway system, what he called and we all understood to be the new lifeblood of commerce. But that highway would only be as good as the skill and education of the Tennesseans residing in that community. That's why he was fond of saying, and all of us heard him say it numerous times, good schools plus good roads equal good jobs. And he delivered on that promise. In his last full month as governor, the state's unemployment rate had dropped to 3.6%, the lowest in the state's history and lower than the national average for 40 straight months. The modern-day Tennessee that has seen such incredible economic development owes much of its success to Governor Ned McWhorter's 4 decades of work, vision, and dedication. And for me, like so many others, having had the opportunity to both serve with him and learn from him has had a significant and lasting influence throughout my life. Thank you very much.